This is going to be another part of the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Plaque that I was making. It's been a while since I made the video. I got so caught up doing a couple of knives and some of the projects and some other videos and reviews and stuff, so I've been kind of neglecting this, and I wanted to make sure all my dusty projects were down for the most part, so I wanted to get started on this. So this is where I'm at so far. I got the plaque right here, and I'll throw a picture in here too, it's better. But that's where I left off. I used the Dremel tool, and I dremeled out the entire shape and everything, and previous to that I did some tracing of stencils I printed out online, and drew out a flower, or the rose, and got that accomplished. So I picked out the paints, and I found two blues, but neither one of them were exactly what I wanted. So I mixed them up and came up with a really nice look, and that's what I got right here. I did decide to go with a water-based acrylic rather than an oil-based, simply because of the fact that of how to mix and familiarity with it. Every now and then I have those moments. So what I did is I picked out the paints, and I have a green, a red, I've mixed the blues, and I have something I like, and then I have black, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to edge the shield in black. Just the shield itself right now. The rose and everything, the rose itself in the stem will stay to green and red, and I don't think I'll edge it, but we'll see how this all starts to turn out. I might have to do it too. I also picked myself up, I started off with these little cheapo, it's like a buck or something at the dollar store or whatever it was, just the regular little kids artist brushes, paint brushes, but I don't think I'm going to do that. I'm going to go with these. I picked up some nicer ones at Joint Fabrics in the paint section, so they're good for all sorts of stuff, oil and latex. And it was really nice to give somebody like me a little picture of what each one of them would be shaped like. So I'm going to probably use these. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out at the blue first at the top of the shield. And then I'll probably switch over and go to the green and then to the red and then go back to the blue again. Simply because as I'm painting, I don't want my hand to be resting on something that I've painted. Even if I've let it set up for a few days, I would have to start putting towels or something on there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start, basically I'm going to be working my way up here and working my way down. So this way it gives me an ability to turn the plaque and put my hand here for resting and everything. So, but I did bring myself out a resting tool, a resting platform. I got a nice big piece of, I think this was maple or ash, one of the two. But I could probably use this as an armrest, and it'll keep my hand above the board if I needed to, so I thought I'd try that as well. But, the one reason also why this was taking so long is I was trying my hand at doing finishes, a complete finish after I paint this. I was debating about whether using a polyacrylic and putting it on all this, or using epoxy, the West Systems. Now the polyacrylic is probably easy enough to figure out to do, and you know, but I was worried about putting the polyacrylic on and brushing it over anything that was painted, and if it would pull that paint, if it would, you know, moisten that paint enough, it would start streaking it or cause issues. So then I thought of just about pouring the polyacrylic on there, and that left way too many bubbles, and it really was inconsistent. So talking to a couple of people and doing some research, I was going to go ahead and use my epoxy, my West Systems, because basically it's used for boats. It's used for putting an epoxy coat over the wood and everything. And a friend of mine, thanks Mike, a friend of mine told me, yeah, go right ahead. He did it with his boat when he was making a wood boat, and I started doing some samples. Now the first one I did, they're like, hey, yeah, you can use a torch, you know, like a little butane propane torch like you use for soldering and such like that. And so I said, well, I've got one of those, so I epoxied, and I did that, and it didn't turn out too good. That's it. You can see that, guys. Yeah, that didn't turn out very good. I guess I heated it too much. So I went ahead and did another one, and him and another fella who commented on a previous video said that not just the torch, but I could also use my heat gun, like I use for my kayaks. And I thought that would be really cool. So I did that to this piece, and it worked out pretty good. I wasn't as diligent as I probably could have been, and there is a couple little ones here and there, but you have to, if you're looking at it like this, you don't notice it. If it was up on the wall and hanging, you wouldn't notice. If you're going to hold it on edge and put it in the light, you're going to see, you know, a couple of them here and there. And one, I don't think that's going to be an issue, and maybe I'm not being as picky as I should. This is my plaque, but maybe I'm not being as picky as I should. But also, trying to be a little bit more realistic. I didn't try as hard because I just did this mistake, so I was really hesitant about heating this too much. So maybe I was a little bit too standoffish to really get in there and do what was right. So anyhow, these were my sample boards. I did 4. These are the last 2 I did. I'm pleased with the last one. I just know I got to put maybe a little bit more effort in that. But this was the other reason why it was taking me so long, is because I was practicing the finishes and stuff. So now I'm ready to paint. I'm ready to get going, so I thought I'd take you guys along and just this little paint project and stuff like that. And then the next step will be after it's painted, I'm going to let it set up for several days and see if it needs a second coat. If it does, I'll do that. If not, then it'll be the epoxy coating and finishing. So let's get started. Guys, so far looking good. I like that. Of course, wet paint and dry paint looks a little differently, but I'm liking it a lot. Probably do another coat in the red as well as the green. That's looking pretty sharp so far. I was debating about doing masking tape or painter's tape and masking off the board. I actually touched a little bit right over here. I touched a little bit right there at blue, so I'll probably get like a little bit of sandpaper and just kind of get it in there once the paint's dry. But I was debating about actually trying to put tape over this, and then I could use the Stanley knife or X-Acto knife or something, and then I can cut the shape out, so this way the whole plaque had blue tape over it, except for the areas I was going to paint. And the reason why I was thinking about doing that is to get into the grooves of everything. But my initial idea was everything surrounding the shield was going to be black. I would edge it in black, and then the rows, the lines that you can see that define the rows and the leaves and the petals, I was just going to leave that the way it was. I did color into the red by the leaf here, but I didn't do that down here by the petals because I was afraid it was going to bleed into the groove I made when I carved it. And I wasn't sure how that was going to look. And once you do that, I'm not really sure what I could do to take that out other than get the Dremel and then have to re-Dremel everything again, and that would be very challenging and that would be kind of a bummer. For right now, I'm actually pretty pleased with this. So I'll let this dry, and like I said, this is going to probably end up getting a second coat. I'll let it dry. Raw wood is going to suck the moisture out of it really well. Let this dry, and then maybe come back tomorrow and do a second coat and see what that looks like, and then let that set for several days. I want to make sure it's completely cured and ready to go, because then the next step would be epoxying. So guys, thanks for stopping out. Thanks for watching this quick little video. Hopefully you kind of enjoyed it. It wasn't much in regards to education, more than entertainment than anything else. You kind of take pride in something like this. For you guys that haven't seen the previous or why this is happening, got to jump back over to when I made the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Knife, and what the reason was behind me making that, as well as the raffle, and then the steps that brought me to doing this. Anyhow, guys, thanks for stopping out. Appreciate all the support. Like always, like, share, subscribe, thumbs up. Leave a comment down below if you got any questions, concerns, moans, groans, or complaints. Let me know. Till the next video, you guys take it easy.